Hey humans of the internet, today we're going to be looking at a boulder problem called White Line Low. I chose this boulder problem for a number of reasons. Firstly, Cat Lake is one of the faster drying areas around Squamish, and given the footage you will see today was filmed in February, fast drying was a must. Secondly, this boulder features a V8 stand start, in addition to the V10 sit. To me, this made it feel a little bit more approachable. I could start with the stand at a grade I'd done before, and then progress to the sit. Finally, I was just stoked on it. I stumbled into this boulder while exploring the area with a few friends on a rest day. I was blown away by the wildly shaped pinches, slopey pods, and small crimper seams that are featured on this boulder. Even with the stoke high, this still felt like a bit of a moonshot project. I'd been training hard throughout the winter, but I had no idea if I was anywhere close to this level of boulder. Though, before we get into the projecting process, let me show you around Cat Lake a bit. Here are some of the other notable lines that make up this nice cluster of roadside boulders. Let's get into session 1. My plan was to work the stand start top down, and then eventually add in the V10 intro moves once I had the stand dialed. To give you a preview of what I was working towards, here's a clip of the starting holds for the stand start. A good but slightly slopey undercling pod for the left hand, and a small crimp for the right. But for now, let's jump back up to the top of the boulder where I began. The final moves of this boulder looked relatively straightforward, so I used them to further get the body moving and start off on a positive note. Overall, the stand start breaks down into roughly 11 hand moves until you end standing on an excellent ledge with an easy mantle remaining. This clip checked off what I was counting as move 10, the big throw up and left, and move 11, getting the right hand up onto a positive juggy hold, marking the end of what I'll call the real moves. With the top sorted, I came down ready to test out the next move. A powerful throw up to the flat edges I had previously started on, from a funky, horizontal tufa-like pinch. According to how I read the boulder, this seemed like one of the more intense moves. I'd conceptualized 2 ways to do it, and decided to feel out both of these starting positions before committing to the throw. First, I tested placing a hand jam deep into the pod formed by the lower surface of the horizontal pinch with my right hand and directly pinching the horizontal tufa with my left. The second method involved flipping my right hand and using the tufa as an undercling. Again, bringing my feet up into this position felt like a plausible beta, but didn't feel quite as nice as the hand jam. For the sake of saving skin and fully recruiting my fingers, I decided to not go for the move yet and instead validate that I could climb into these positions from below. Starting out on a lower right hand crimp and slopey left hand pocket, I tested out the moves leading into this cruxy position. I placed my right foot on a solid rail and left in a techie toe hook. Much to my delight, this position felt stable, and reaching for the tufa wasn't particularly difficult. Bringing the right hand up and into the hand jam also felt quite reasonable. I didn't sort out bringing the feet up, but that was still a solid 2 more hand moves complete. Psyched with seeing some progress, I did what every overexcited boulderer does, and forced my friend to come over and listen in painstaking detail to what I had figured out, and then used him as a sounding board to map out the rest of the moves. Thanks for your patience, Luke. With my new collaborator, we discussed potential sequences linking from the proper stand-start holds to these newly sorted positions, and after our chat, I set out to test our theories. Establishing with good tension between my right foot and left hand easily unlocked the first two moves, bumping my right hand up twice to a decent sloping crimp, though attempting to go straight into the techie toe hook as I had planned didn't feel right from this low position. A better placed left foot on my next try let me bump my hand up to the rail I had previously toe hooked on, and put me in a promising feeling compression position. After some thought, I decided to try and bring my right foot up while my hands were still on nicely opposing holds, and placing the toe hook. Again, much to my delight, this position felt solid and aided me in bringing my left hand towards the arete. With most of the moves somewhat hodgepodged together, I went back to try and link them from the bottom. My next attempt, I found myself slightly out of position with the left hand, making generating enough tension for the toe hook feel impossible. After a quick break and review of the moves, I hopped on again feeling a little bit more motivated. This time, the toe stuck, and I found myself lining up ready for the big throw. The hand jam felt tricky to get into from this position, so I switched back to the undercling method, but no dice. Not enough juice in the tank. I also made a mental note that the heel hook I had decided to do on the fly probably wasn't doing me any favors generating for the throw. I reasoned I should instead place a toe and use this to help push me up and to the left. At this point, I decided to continue trying from the bottom to dial in this lower sequence, and if everything went well, give some good attempts at the cruxy throw.
Hold it, come on. All right. Oh, wow. Yes. That was awesome. Wow.
With that, I capped off a very successful session, doing my first one session send of a V8. Session 2 began with some seepage challenges on a few of the intro holds of the sit start. Thankfully, this was resolved without too much of a battle, thanks to an absorbent sweater and some extra chalk. Today's goal was to figure out the V10 intro moves. After an initial inspection of my foot options, I opted to try and make use of a tricky heel-toe cam down and to the right of the starting holds. My attempts at each move felt quite ab-intensive, punchy, and powerful. I quickly realized the quite lovely left-hand pod on the stand start was an appalling, slopey piece of garbage from this lower angle. The V10 grade was making sense now. Upon further inspection of my foothold options, I discovered a further away pod for my right foot, which again could be used to heel toe cam in. I figured this might be a better choice to keep me from getting bunched up. My hips would be closer to the wall, and I'd be able to generate a better angle of compression from my right foot to the intro crimps. Much to my delight, with this new position, I felt solid reaching up to grip the trash part of the sloper pod, and with a few powerful micro bumps, I was able to stand up into the V8 starting position.
Who's yelling?
Game time. I had done all 14 moves of the set start. Time to give the block some beans. After a couple of false starts, I took a rest, reset, and once again found myself climbing into the V8 stand. But I discovered a new red point crux. Holding tension with the toe after adding in those additional powerful moves was feeling quite a bit more difficult. I decided to practice the toe hook move in isolation to gain some more confidence. This initially didn't go well. But after a bit of deliberation, I concluded I was thinking too much about the positioning of my toe and not letting my entire body just find the right position. Success! Funny how sometimes focusing too much on one aspect of your position can throw you off. I think I had my problem solved. I hopped back on for some more burns from the bottom. Despite my best efforts, I continued to be spat off at the techie toe hook sequence, and then at various other lower moves as my energy slowly dwindled, until we called it a night. As we were packing up, I still had an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. I had done all the moves on a V10, and now it was in the realm of being possible. Geez, what's with all this light? I came into session 3 trying to manage expectations. The day before, I had battled my way to my first 13B, and while I still felt pretty good, I knew this boulder would require me to put everything I had into it. After a nice long warm-up, I started immediately in from the bottom. I couldn't quite find the right spot on each hold, and this led to a fairly early loss to gravity. Burn 2 felt much better on the lower moves, but after placing the toe hook and dropping to the arete with my left hand, I lost tension with my lower body. And while I didn't slip off, all my weight shifted to my hands and I became completely stuck, crimping the bejesus out of both holds. I refreshed the sequence, this time consciously making sure my right foot stayed engaged, initially driving my hips right to help lock in the toe hook, and then up, helping my hand generate towards the pinch. With this tricky sequence practiced up, I returned to giving burns from the bottom. And with that, I had sent my first double-digit boulder. It was a little scrappy of a sand, but an achievement I'm really proud of nonetheless. Working this boulder was such a fun process, and I can't wait to do it all over again on the next project. But more than anything, this experience reminded me how much having supportive friends helps make a process like this so much more fun. I wanted to extend a special thanks to both Luke and Steven for all the late night sessions in the cold, working our projects, and helping film. Also, to Sonia and Jeff for the bonus send day cheers. I'm almost never conscious of what's being said around me when I'm climbing, but on my send burn I was so close to giving up until I heard everyone's encouragements.
Yes.
As usual, remember to brush your boulders for the next person, and good luck with your training, projects, or whatever else you have going on. Thanks for watching. For those who are new here, one of the main goals of this channel is to generate money to support our quickly growing climbing community. If this channel reaches a sufficient size to monetize videos, 50% of proceeds will be donated to the Squamish Access Society. The additional 50% will be invested into making higher quality videos and expanding the impact we can have. Please consider subscribing to support this long-term goal.